oftenly found myself zoning out in class. I would literally just like sit there and rub my eyes to get like 2 seconds of a nap. It happens to all of us, but what's surprising is I actually never heard anyone say that when we're in university. The unfortunate truth is just staying awake in class can have a domino effect on your grades. If you can stay awake in class and actually focus, you will save yourself thousands and thousands of hours when you're studying by yourself. After all, as students, attending class is a day-to-day routine, and it's the small everyday habits that shape our success. So instead of just forcing yourself to stay awake in class, let's set yourself up for success before you even step into your class. These are things that have worked for me personally. These are practical, realistic, and effective tips. So let's get into it. Firstly, you want to keep your focus on the important stuff. You want to take care of your body, because if you don't take care of your body, your mind will not be taken care of either. There are two simple but very effective ways of setting yourself up for success, and I would summarize this into just 4 words. Make sure you eat. Like figuratively eat and also actually eat. So number 1, eat something before class. It's probably helpful that I came from like an Asian household, because my parents would always make sure that I would eat breakfast before I go into school. It's just something we've done all my whole life. When I went into university and I started to live by myself, I never ate breakfast for myself, and that became such a detrimental thing, because in class I would constantly think about food. 24/7 I'm thinking about food.
What should I eat after this? What should I have for lunch?
I actually don't end up listening to my professor at all, because I'm just constantly thinking about food. If you go into class with an empty stomach, it's basically like you asking your brain to do something at low power mode. So yeah, if you don't eat, your focus is going to be on the last mukbang video you watch instead of your professor. Now, I'm not saying you need a full-on breakfast for you to start the day, like a full-on protein-packed breakfast. You don't need any of that. Maybe if that's something you're used to, definitely go for it. It's healthy for you. Have a balanced diet. But you don't need to be extra about it. Just have a little snack, or at least something to get you going throughout the day is enough. Just don't go in hungry, because aside from the fact that you will be distracted in class from how hungry you are, you will also be embarrassed because your stomach's gonna growl like as if it's never been fed its whole life. And oh my god, that feeling is just so embarrassing. If your class allows it as well, if you're doing like a tutorial class, or it's just like a practice session where you're not really listening to your professors or your teachers or anything like that, then make sure you have something to eat or snack on as well. Number 2 is dressing up, even just a little bit. You want to make sure your outfit eats. I love making sure that my outfit eats every time I go into class. When I was in high school, we all wore a uniform, so when I was in university, I got to like wear whatever I wanted, and so I love dressing up every single day. I know this sounds superficial, but just hear me out. When you know you look good, you will feel really good inside, which then makes you feel confident to tackle the day. So what that means is, instead of you feeling sluggish and not ready to do anything, you will instead feel motivated, determined, and ready to do anything. You don't even have to do a full-on outfit. Even just something small like styling your hair, or even just like wearing lip gloss, it will help you a lot. When I feel good about how I feel, I will naturally be more energetic about it, because I feel more confident and I can actually present myself in the way that I want to. It's honestly a productivity hack that no one talks about. Even for exams, this is exactly what I do. I dress up in the morning, I pretend like I'm Superwoman, then I go into the exam hall and get 95%. So choose that particular top that makes you feel like you have your life together, even if you don't actually. Now, a lot of us takes notes because we feel like we have to. But if you're just copying everything down without actually thinking about what you're copying, then it's not going to get you anywhere. It's very passive learning. If you are so insistent on wanting to take notes, you can just use the SQ4R method. This stands for survey, question, review, recall, re-ask. With the SQ4R method, what you want to do is to get the new concept that you've been given, and then try to ask questions about why you're learning this. Not in a way where it's like,
Why am I actually learning this? How is this going to be helpful?
but try to put yourself in the position of the examiner, or put yourself in the position of the person who's going to make the exam for you, like your teachers or whatever it is, and try to think of questions or predict the type of questions that will come up from this concept. This will actually help you to have a deeper understanding on the concept itself, and will help you to memorize it even better. Another thing you can do is also to try and use mind maps or flashcards, or even turning it into a flowchart. The reason why this works is because our brain is pre-designed to see things in a structured way. So as you are making your mind map, your brain is doing a couple things. Firstly, it's understanding as you are writing. It helps you to memorize it better. And secondly, it's also allowing you to structure your notes in such a way that it allows you to find the patterns between the topics itself. So instead of you just memorizing random ideas, you actually start to understand things even better. And lastly, of course, because it's so summarized and it's so compact, and plus because it's a diagram, we naturally understand visuals a lot better. It allows us to memorize it for a longer period of time. Now, mind maps, they are definitely great for subjects that have a lot of interconnected ideas. Flowcharts are good for like history or in engineering where they have like step-by-step processes. That's really good with flowcharts. And bullet point frameworks are good to keep things that are organized and in a step-by-step manner. So from today, if you're still just copying your notes one by one, just making a new textbook, then I want you to pause here for a second and just do one of these instead and see how much it changes your grades. Trust me, your future self will thank you. Now here's the thing, you don't have to be 100% locked in every single time whenever you study. Everything's a give and take. You can give 100% today or give 80% tomorrow. It doesn't matter. As long as you show up for yourself, that's even better than not doing anything at all. I used to stress myself out because I didn't understand how to use the right study techniques for the certain subjects. I thought that I needed to find that perfect study technique for every single subject that's like just transferable between all of them. But what I didn't realize was that all of these study techniques are specific to very specific subjects. For example, the techniques that I use for chemistry will not work for mathematics, and the techniques that I use for biology will not work for chemistry either. So instead of having a perfect technique that suits all of them, I have a perfect technique for every single subject. Separately, that is. I used to stress myself out thinking that if I didn't understand something immediately, then there's something wrong with me. I'm useless, I'm stupid. I know I have a lot of negative self-talk. Once I figured out how to get out of that mindset, I was able to see things in a much clearer way. Because that is not how learning works. Class is meant to supplement your learning. It's meant to supplement your understanding. It's not meant for you to learn everything from 0 to 100%. It should not be your only source of knowledge. You need to rely on yourself and not just rely on your teachers. This also actually helps you in the long run because it allows you to trust yourself even deeper as well. Because then you can see in the future when you come across a new subject that you're just starting out for the first time and you know nothing about it, you won't feel scared about it. I definitely don't anymore because I know no matter what, I will be able to figure it out because I figured it out so far. So what's going to change this time? Nothing. So instead of pressuring yourself to memorize every single detail, what you want to do is to focus on understanding the core topics itself. You want to focus on finding the keywords. You want to focus on finding the patterns in between the topics. Make sure you master those linking topics. For example, in chemistry, if you have acids and bases, organic chemistry, electrochemistry, a lot of the times they link to one main topic, which is bonding. So with bonding, that's where you want to focus all of your efforts on. You want to really master it. You want to embody it. You want to understand every single thing about bonding. Because if you understand this, then you will understand all the other topics that links to it. Does that make sense? It's like when you place a brick, you're placing the foundation first. You don't start with the top. You start from the bottom and work your way up. So start with the basics first and work your way up to the top. Something that you can do before you go into class to help yourself is to create a cheat sheet. Now, this is an example of a cheat sheet that I've made. This is for GCSE chemistry. And in this one here, you can see that there's a lot of information, but they're very concise. What I did was just write down, this is the question, this is the answer, this is the definition, this is the actual definition of it, blah, 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 things like that. When you make a cheat sheet like this, it allows you to save a lot of time in class because then when you come to class, you're already prepared. So what you want to do is to be advanced. You don't want to be behind from your class. I know that seems very obvious, but you really want to spend your entire summer just grinding out all of the cheat sheets. Even if you don't understand the concept at all, it's all new to you, it doesn't matter. Make cheat sheets so that when you go into class, you can bring this, listen to your teacher, and if your teacher says anything that's not in here, again, you would know because you're the one who made this, add it in. Eventually, at the end of it, when it comes to your exam time, you already have every information that you need made from the start of the year to the end of the year. You don't need to make any notes anymore because you already done it. And because you're not just listening to your teacher, copying it down, listening to your teacher, copying it down, and actually allowing yourself to focus on what your teacher is saying, it will prevent you from falling asleep in class. It seems really backwards because you're like, oh, but the class is so boring. The reason why the class is boring is because you didn't understand it. The reason why the class is boring is because you don't know what's happening. Once you actually understand what's happening, it will be less boring and you will actually eventually enjoy the class.
Let's get rocking!
Now, I talked about this on my TikTok a little bit, but I work really well when I'm studying with my friends. I've done this in my A-levels, my GCSEs, even in university. I studied for my thermodynamics exam the day before the exam and I got a 93%. And all of it was just because I was studying with my friends. Now, there's a whole technique to this. One of them is body doubling. When you study or work alongside someone, it actually keeps you more accountable. Even if you're usually fine studying alone, trust me, you will be more productive when you're working with your friends. Unless your friends are the ones that actually don't want to study, then that's probably a different scenario. So make sure that you have a goal in mind for all of you guys together. Having even one study buddy will actually help you, because one thing that you can do is to split up the topics in between you guys and then explain it to each other. This allows you to tackle two techniques. It allows you to tackle Feynman technique as well as blurting. So with the Feynman technique, you're teaching it to somebody else, which allows you to understand it even more. And secondly, with blurting, it allows you to keep it in your active recall mind for a lot longer. And of course, it's also very reassuring to know that you are not here alone. You are in it together, and that's what friends are for. Even if you're not super social, which I definitely am not, forming a small group of friends is always really helpful. You don't have to do this in person. You can even use online tools. So like my Discord server, there's a bunch of students there that are very like-minded to you. Why don't you talk to someone there? You don't even have to see each other. Maybe just chat once in a while. Make sure you're keeping yourself accountable. Just having someone there to lean on when you need it is a huge confidence boost. At the end of the day, staying awake in class isn't about willpower. It's all about setting yourself up for success that makes studying easier for you. And of course, it's going to end up making it more enjoyable as well. Whether it's taking care of yourself before class, changing the way you take your notes, or having someone to keep you accountable, these small habits can make a big difference. So what's your go-to trick to staying awake in class? I would absolutely love to hear it from you guys. Let me know in the comments, of course. And if you found this helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it to your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye!